Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Thursday, May 9th, 2019. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. Sure happy it's Thursday. We have got a lot to talk about today. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Sam is in our control room, ready to answer the phone, put you on the air with your comments, questions, and observations. And so let's just get right on into it. I mean, there's a lot going on here. We were talking the other day about how there are peace talks, or at least disarmament talks, going on in Afghanistan to set a timetable for the withdrawal of U.S. troops. But apparently not everybody's on board with that, because apparently when he was speaking to the Senate Appropriations Defense Subcommittee on yesterday, Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Joe Dunford said that I don't think anybody would want to withdraw our forces from Afghanistan or the broader Middle East more than me. Then he went on to say, I oppose withdrawing U.S. forces from Afghanistan. And basically says that U.S. needs to keep their military in Afghanistan as long as an insurgency continues. He added there are still 20 extremist groups in Afghanistan. Translation, if Dunsford has his way, we're staying in Afghanistan. And part of it may be the fact that this justifies continued military spending. Part of it may be the optics. You know, there's this huge war agenda going on right now, and it all hinges on the illusion of the invincibility of America's military. And if the U.S. is forced to withdraw from Afghanistan the way the Soviet Union did, that could be the beginning of the end. In fact, in terms of the Soviet Union, that was the beginning of the end. It was the first major military defeat suffered by the Soviet Union, and it all began to fall apart right after that. So Dunford is out there saying, we're going to keep our military in Afghanistan. Same thing with Syria. Anybody with any common sense would say, we basically failed in Syria, it's time to get on out, but they're going to stay in Syria so that while they can't say they won in Syria or Afghanistan, they can stand there and say, well, we haven't exactly lost either. Speaking of Syria, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is saying, but the attempts taken by the United States to resettle the Kurds in the regions historically inhabited by Arab tribes could actually lead to Syria's breakup. And he's right, it could, and that might actually be the U.S. agenda, because the U.S. has been pushing for an independent Kurdistan all along. All right, getting on over to Iran. As we reported yesterday, Iran has started to come up with an ultimatum saying that unless Europe comes on in and helps cover the financial losses resulting from the renewed U.S. sanctions, that Iran would walk away from some components of the P5+1 deal. They would stop selling their excess uranium, excess heavy water. They would resume enrichment to a higher level than allowed under the P5+1 deal. Unfortunately, the European Union is saying it rejects any ultimatums issued by Iran, saying it won't bend to threats that Tehran will break from the nuclear deal and begin enriching uranium unless the European signatories uphold their commitments within 60 days, which apparently has not been happening. So apparently Iran is frustrated. The European Union is not pulling its weight in the face of tightening U.S. sanctions. So it looks like Trump is going to get his way. He pulled out of this P5+1 deal a year ago, and now it looks like the whole thing is going to fall apart. All right. Meanwhile, the U.S. military, U.S. officials rather, are talking up. Yes, let's use military force against Iran. It's not like, we're not already busy all over the rest of the planet here. Sure, we've got nothing better to do. Let's go after Iran here. And John Bolton is out there claiming Iran is plotting a sneak attack on the U.S. This appears to be false, or if something happens, it's a false flag. And U.S. officials are conceding that the administration is exaggerating the Iranian threat to justify the build-up. Having done that, though, officials are still couching everything in the language of war. Special Representative on Iran, Brian Hook, told reporters today that Iran's changes to its nuclear activities violate international norms and that the U.S. is determined to put maximum pressure on Iran. Well, and I'm not sure what he means by international norms, because a lot of countries are developing weapons, especially in this era of belligerent U.S. action. But this maximum pressure is exactly why the U.S. claimed it thought an attack was coming, and Hook continued to insist that any attack would be met with force. In reality, there is no serious thought of Iran attacking the U.S. and a lot of risk that the U.S. is going to blunder into the war on its own, one way or the other, or, again, a potential false flag. All this talk about Iran shipping missiles around the Persian Gulf on boats basically means that a missile can be fired from anywhere in the region toward a U.S. asset and blamed on Iran. And I think that's where they're going with this. Okay, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining the network here. Story out of Zero Hedge. As you know, Bolton came on out saying we're sending the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Group to Iran to send a message to Iran. Then it turned out the Abraham Lincoln was already in the area. It turns out it was in the Mediterranean. And so now it has basically passed through the Suez Canal en route to the Persian Gulf. And so it's heading for Iranian waters. Over in Israel, Israel forces have attacked Palestinian worshippers leaving the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now, the worshippers were just peaceful. There wasn't even a protest. They were just heading home. And Israeli occupation forces attacked them following their night prayers at the Al-Aqsa Mosque last night. And they were basically using sound bombs, flashbangs, and tear gas to basically chase them away. Completely unjustified and unreasonable, and clearly another provocation. Last weekend, of course, we had this huge confrontation militarily between Hamas and Israel, and there was a ceasefire declared early Monday morning. But the Palestinians are accusing Israel of delaying some of the implementation of the ceasefire terms. Specifically, Gaza fishermen are reporting the sea is still closed off. They are not able to go out and fish. And there is no official word as to when the Qatari money to pay bureaucrats' salaries and aid needy families will arrive. So that's not holding together very well. Apparently, there were 19 violations against Palestine media last month. The Palestinian Center for Development and Media Freedoms reported 19 violations against media freedoms in Israel and the occupied territories. And apparently, the Israeli occupation committed 11 of the violations. The Palestinian Authority in the occupied West Bank committed 5, and authorities in Gaza committed 3. Now, this number is lower than the number of violations which have been witnessed in previous months, when the Israeli occupation committed 80 violations and Palestinian authorities in the West Bank and Gaza Strip together carried out 37. So at least that part is calming down. Okay, Israel has for a while been planning a tramway an elevated railway that would link the illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank together so that people could go from settlement to settlement above the ground and not have to deal with the very unhappy Palestinians down below, wondering why yet more of their land was being taken. So they're looking at this light rail system. And surprisingly, some of the companies involved with this are starting to pull out of the deal. And Canadian engineering giant Bombardier has pulled out of the bid to expand and operate this light rail system. Two others are Australia's Macquarie and Germany's Siemens. Now, the tramway is a symbol of oppression for the Palestinians. And so good for these companies who put human rights and international law above their profits. Of course, looking at the way our light rail system is coming along, maybe they were just saying, we don't need to get into this mess. Our light rail is a mess. California's high-speed rail is a mess. We just can't do these things anymore. Oddly enough, I saw the show last night, documentary, about China's maglev. China right now is operating the world's only commercial maglev passenger train. And it travels at 300 miles an hour. Smooth, steady ride, very comfortable. And it's just an amazing piece of engineering. And the United States doesn't have high-speed rail, except for that one effort out in California. And they've already dialed that one back. Anyway. Okay, story coming out of MiddleEastMonitor.com. Calls for protests in support of Palestine against attempts to annihilate the cause. We're coming up on the 71st anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba. And the Palestinian Forum of Britain has called on everyone who believes in freedom and human rights to stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people against attempts to annihilate their cause. In other words, the Israelis just want this all to go away. They're tired of the Great March of Return. They're very angry that a year of shooting the protesters hasn't made them go away. And of course, we're coming up on the U.S. deal of the century, which will be unveiled next month. And the details of that appear to show Palestinians will continue to live under Israel's military control and be subjected to its rule. So it's not really much of a deal. All right, let's grab a phone call here from Doc in Illinois. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. I've been watching your show for about a year now.
Yes.
And I've actually quite liked it. I don't know if you're familiar with this forum. It's called Let's Roll Forums. Have you heard of it?
Not really, no.
Well, I found this thread on there, and they were saying that you looked kind of similar to this 9/11 victim named John Wenkus, and they said that you didn't really dispel the rumors about it. Have you heard of this rumor?
No, I haven't, but no, I'm not a 9/11 witness. I was in Hawaii when 9/11 happened.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's just, I don't know if you know Phil Jahan, but, he's been making, quite a lot of, detailed, photos of comparisons of you and stuff. I thought it was kind of strange, but I wanted to know if you had heard about it or what you thought about it.
No, I haven't heard about it. And again, he's out there smoking opium. I was not in New York at the time of 9/11. I was in Hawaii. And so, we all have doppelgangers on Earth. If you go out and put your own picture into Google image search, you'll probably find a lot of people who look just like you.
Oh, yeah. I was also going to tell them that, because I remember you said that you worked as a photo analyst for NASA, right?
Well, I worked as a flight controller and image processing expert, which I guess is close enough.
Yeah, because I was going to also mention to them that you would have been, I would assume you would have been doing that during the time they said that they were organizing, supposedly that you were going to be in on that plan with them or something. I don't know, but I was going to say that you would have been like preoccupied at the time.
Well, at the time when 9/11 happened, I was working on Final Fantasy, and that was that was pretty much a full-time job.
Wow, pretty cool. That's pretty interesting.
So anything
So
else?
you worked on video games too?
No, just the feature film.
Oh, that's cool. Well, yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. I just wanted to make sure that you knew about it or what you thought about it. Thank you for accepting my phone call, Mike.
I thank you very much for the phone call and the information. And my response is, I don't care. I really don't. All right, we're going to switch over here to Jim in Illinois. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, Michael, a couple of things. Do you know why they turned off the electricity and water at the Venezuelan embassy in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, they're trying to get those protesters that are inside the building to leave. And they've already kicked out Venezuela's diplomats, and they're trying to get the premises cleared out so that Juan Guaido's representatives can be ensconced there to sort of add more legitimacy to his usurpation.
Well, isn't that illegal, though, to do that?
Yeah, basically everything the United States is doing right now in Venezuela is illegal under international law.
Wow. And the other thing, yesterday Trump gave a rally down in Florida yesterday. The first thing that he lied about was giving $91 billion to Puerto Rico, and the truth is America gave only $12 billion to Puerto Rico. And the other thing that he was talking about, and this is really kind of embarrassing, he was saying and laughing about it's okay to shoot immigrants down at the border. Now, I really find that inappropriate. If I was to laugh and comment about shooting the president, my ass would be locked up right now.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know where this guy is coming from, but obviously, he just continues to show his ignorance. And why people still support him is beyond me. So, well, Michael, that's it. You take care.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go, and we're going to switch over to Tony in Puerto Rico. Aloha, Tony. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Tony in Puerto Rico, are you there? Okay, I'm not hearing Tony.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
You're on the air.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was saying, just kidding around with your flight controller on Ronald Reagan. Just joking. Listen, Mike. My question is this: if a country, right, wants an American base to close, what is the protocol on that for the Americans to leave that country? What's the protocol?
Well, generally, when the United States sets up a military base in another country, it basically signs a lease for the property for a certain amount of time, and then when the lease is about to come up, they renegotiate an extension. The host country can refuse to extend that lease, and at that point, the U.S. is legally required to leave. Usually there's a lot of politics going on with that. I know that right now there has been a lot of tension with the U.S. base in Okinawa because the Okinawans, first of all, don't like the American presence, and second, there have been quite a few, shall we say, unfortunate incidents involving U.S. service people and Okinawan women. But at least if you're complying with the rules, the U.S. should leave when a host country says it's time for you to leave. Obviously, in the case of places like Afghanistan and Syria, that's not happening.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
All right, you're welcome. And again, that's because in Afghanistan and Syria, we're not talking about leaseholds. We're talking about, pardon me, established military bases. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far 5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And just for a minute, I want you to think, what would the world be like without the independent media right now? You know you're being lied to by the corporate media constantly. You know the politicians are lying to you. They're lying about the unemployment numbers. They're lying about the rate of inflation. They're lying about the GDP. They're lying about the wars. So if the independent media goes away, how do you find out what's going on? How do you get the information you need to make good choices? So RBN needs your support. WhatReallyHappened.com needs your support. And I know it's a lot to ask because a lot of you have already been donating, and I know times are hard for all of us. We don't have any big corporate sponsors. We don't have any government grants. We're basically dependent on you. And the enemy, they're going after our advertisers. That pointer list was a good example of that. Even though it's been retracted, the damage has been done. Advertisers in the independent media are saying, oh, no, we can't advertise with you. It would damage our brand. We'll get attacked as being anti-Semitic. Anyway, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can send a debit or credit card donation or pledge to be a recurring subscriber is 800-724-2719, extension 1 during business hours, extension 3 at all other times. And of course, there's a donate button over at the What Really Happened website. So the network thanks you, and I thank you. And again, our heartfelt gratitude to those of you who have already sent in donations, some of which have been very generous. And I'd love to say it's enough and you can stop, but I can't. We're in serious, dire economic need out here. All right, getting on back to the news. Satellite images are showing that China is constructing its third and largest aircraft carrier. And apparently it's well underway. So everybody is arming up because they know a big one is coming. Now, apparently the U.S. has seized a North Korean cargo ship, supposedly for violating the international sanctions. And the Justice Department said the ship was used to transport coal, which is North Korea's largest export, but subject to a United Nations export ban. The ship was initially confiscated in Indonesia. Now, this is the first time the U.S. has seized a North Korean ship for breaching the sanctions, and obviously this is going to sour relations between the two countries. They were this close to making it all work at the Trump-Kim summit, and now it's going the wrong direction. Okay, we talked before about the schism that has come up inside the White House regarding Venezuela, where both the Pentagon and Donald Trump himself are cool on the idea of a direct military intervention in Venezuela. The U.S. doesn't do well in jungle warfare. We're already spread all across the globe. We're spread very thinly across the globe. But Bolton and Pompeo, they're out there. They're ready to go. They're ready to just send all your kids down there. And apparently it's reached the point where Trump is growing frustrated, and he's basically saying aides like Bolton are misleading him about Juan Guaido's chances of success. And according to the Washington Post, Trump has turned on Bolton and accused him of trying to start a war in Venezuela. Now, down in Venezuela, interesting story. This is out of the Daily Mail, and look at the way this thing is being phrased. Juan Guaido's deputy is kidnapped by Venezuelan agents who towed his car away while he was still inside it. Now, we know that arrests have begun of these opposition leaders who took part in the coup attempt. And apparently, Guaido is out there saying that this is a kidnapping. The U.S. is warning of consequences if he's not released. But apparently, this guy was inside his car. He refused to come on out, so they just towed the car away with him inside it. So Maduro is about ready to clean house. Okay, we got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be back after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing for the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Did you know that neither the American Medical Association nor the American Bar Association were established to benefit the American people? Have you recognized that in our country, healthcare has little to do with health, and that our court system has nothing to do with justice? The priests of both medicine and law have been incentivized to implement a dark agenda on behalf of the Bilderbergers and their ilk. To protect ourselves and our progeny, we need to take a much closer look at how these two giant industries really work. Join me, Al Whitney, on In Defense of Humanity, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Central, as we expose the matrix and learn how not to consent to our own destruction.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're going to go to the phones right now to Joe in Tennessee. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. You know that guy Guaido? He really reminds me of like a Spanish Barack Obama. It's like he went to the same CIA school that Barack Obama went to. If you watch him, you watch his mannerisms, even his look. I mean, he looks like a Hispanic Barack Obama. And I think that's what they look for when they look for a Manchurian candidate, whether it's our own in America or whether it's a deep state Manchurian candidate in Venezuela. But anyway, what I was calling about was this guy, the head of the FBI, Christopher Wray.
Yes.
Saying, can you believe it? He's saying that the FBI didn't spy on Donald Trump. I mean, this guy's got to go. I mean, I guess he's been in there for, 2 years? If I was Trump, I'd just call him in and fire him. I mean, if he directs the FBI and he doesn't know the difference between spying and investigating, I mean, that's a threatening thing to our constitutional rights, that a man with that kind of power can either not know the difference or can cover it up. Either way, it's dangerous to the constitutional rights of the American people. And it just shows how kind of imperial these people get in the deep state and running an agency like the FBI. I mean, J. Edgar Hoover was the same way. He was imperial. I mean, he had the goods on everybody, so he knew he could intimidate everybody. And I think that's what you're seeing here. I think when you see like this guy Burr with the Republicans, it all goes back to the blackmail. I mean, that's why Hillary Clinton is still out there and she hasn't been indicted. I remember back in the 80s and early 90s when she had all the FBI files on everybody back then. I mean, so it's really a very bad thing to see this guy Christopher Wray come out and say that. And it tells me that Trump better do something and declass those documents and start indicting these people. He can't just be, I understand he's playing games and he wants them to hang themselves, but there comes a point when you really have to start making arrests, and he better start doing it soon. I mean, he's kind of dicking the dog, as they say. And I mean, it's almost like he's playing with a cat, and meanwhile, you know, that cat still has claws. And if I was him, I would just start, you know, tell him, let's at least he could do is declassify all this information and do it immediately. And then fire Christopher Wray and say, how could you be director of the FBI when here I just declassify all this information that you were telling me not to, and it shows the spying that you say doesn't even exist. You have no business being in charge of the FBI. So, I mean, I think Trump needs to start acting like there was an attempted coup on him. I mean, he says the word coup, but I don't see any action like, if I was the king or I was the president and somebody committed a coup against me, why aren't they in jail or worse?
Yes,
So
I absolutely agree here.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Christopher Wray is basically he's messing around with definitions, and he's relying on the existence of that FISA warrant, even though we know that FISA warrant was obtained fraudulently with Christopher Steele's now debunked dossier. And so as long as that FISA warrant is existing, Christopher Wray is characterizing the actions of the FBI as warranted investigation, and hence it was not spying. That's the position he's taking. And it's weasel wording. There's no two ways about it. They can declare it to be legal, but it was still spying, targeting the an opposition political campaign. And I'm in agreement with those who say this is actually worse than Watergate was.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I was like hoping that after Comey and his corruption, well, Christopher Wray would get in there and try to clean out the institution and try to save, maybe even save the FBI. But now it's obvious that he's just running interference. He's using protective language. He's not doing what needs to be done in the FBI, and that is to clean it out. So he's really got to go. He's basically, he's protecting these crooks and these criminals. And I've been noticing he's been doing that ever since, slow walking files and anything he can to damage Trump and protect the FBI, he does.
Yeah.
So therefore, I mean, he's got to go. If anything, he's looking at getting indicted himself if he keeps this up, as far as obstruction of justice, because that's what he's doing. He's obstructing justice, and he's defending people that were doing unconstitutional actions. So Trump's got to really take the gloves off, and I'm worried for him because I don't know if he understands the threat. Once again, he says that they try to coup against him. Well, if they did, then you're a fool if you don't put these people in prison or worse, because they're going to try again, if they're still in power positions. So anyway, that's kind of what I had to say today.
No, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We have to wonder, why is Trump not responding to these coup plotters? Because if he doesn't, they are going to try again. There's no question.
Yeah, no, I mean, did you see that Jim Jordan speech yesterday? There's like a 5-minute thing, but he gave a speech at the hearing about when they were going after Barr for the contempt citation, and he really, in 5 minutes, he really got it good as far as all the information out there about there being a coup attempt and about their spying and about Schumer saying there's 6 ways from Sunday for the intelligence community to get even with you. I mean, he's laying it out there. Jim Jordan, I give him credit for his bravery. They probably don't have enough to blackmail him on. And I give him a lot of credit because in 5 minutes. I've been sharing it on Facebook and everything, all the different groups I'm a member of, just because I've never seen a guy just consolidate the information in such a great 5-minute, short, easily, absorbed speech. It was
Yes.
just wonderful. So I recommend anybody who has a chance to look for Jim Jordan's speech there. He could have been the Republicans' minority leader if instead they got that guy. That guy Paul. The Rhinos kept that guy Paul Meadows. What is his name? McCarthy, is it? I forget his name. But anyway, But did you watch any of Trump's speech in Panama City last night?
No, I didn't. I had other things that I needed to be doing.
Well, I was very happy about what he's talking about. I mean, he keeps bringing up China and the trade wars and Europe and how they're not paying their bills as far as the defense and why should the Americans be paying. I mean, he's really he's maintaining a lot of populist themes. And I mean, yeah, he didn't build the wall yet, and I do have a lot of disappointments with him, but he does he's still hitting those populist themes, and that's a good thing. But
but that's a speech. That's a speech, and speeches don't accomplish anything. And as you said it yourself, the wall is still not being built. Our economy is not doing well, despite claims to the contrary. We're still mired in all of these wars. The swamp has not been drained. Nothing is actually getting done.
Did you see what he was saying about Bolton? Did you see what he said about Bolton? That that Bolton he doesn't he keeps Bolton there for his views, but he understands that he is a radical, not a radical, but he does have a hard position, and but he's not letting him run the show. I mean, that's basically what he said last night.
Well, that's going to be good to hear.
He's trying to blame Venezuela on him.
Well, that's going to be good to hear, but the real litmus test is going to be whether we go into Venezuela militarily or not, because if we do, then Bolton has gotten his way.
Yeah, I don't think we're going into Venezuela. I worry a lot more about Iran than I do Venezuela, because then you have the Israeli angle, and they're a lot more powerful than Bolton is, the Israelis. So, and really, Trump's got to be careful there about the false flag, because if it benefits the Israelis to sink one of our aircraft carriers, they will.
I don't think they'll sink an aircraft carrier, but they would definitely put a hole in the side of one of the auxiliaries. Remember, like the USS Cole? That was an Israeli false flag operation.
Yeah. And what do you think of the Stark? Remember when the Iraqis shot the Stark up? Do you think that was an Israeli operation, or was that just what they said it was? Was the Iraqis had a missile that got lucky or accidentally fired it? Remember that one when they hit the Stark?
Boy, that's a ways back, and I don't really recall it all that clearly.
I know that they court-martialed the captain, and he got court-martialed. I sailed with the guy that was on there, got injured, got his gut shot up. He survived it, but wasn't really much of the captain's fault, but they got him because he was the captain, and somebody has to take the fall sometimes. And
yep.
That's the way it is in the Navy, like if you're a captain and your boat gets attacked, like they did Kimmel out there in Hawaii.
Yeah. But they posthumously cleared him and restored him to rank. We actually had his daughter on this show some years ago talking about that.
Yeah, they withheld information from him. I mean, it was a real shame how what they did to that guy. But at the same time, that's part. My dad was in the Navy, and he said, "Well, that's why you get the paneled rooms, and you get everybody kisses your butt, because what you're part of the deal is you got to fall on your sword sometimes. I mean, that's just part of being captain.
Yep.
So that's just that. But anyway, hey, thanks for the call. And once again, when you see this guy Guaido, think about a Venezuelan Barack Obama from the CIA farm, because that's who he is.
Oh, I have no doubt that Guaido has been groomed by the CIA for years for just this opportunity. Anyway, Joe, thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open now. And getting on back down to Venezuela, Maduro has now shut down 3 major private airports just before announcing the indictments against major opposition figures, and amid a cloud of accusations that members of Maduro's inner circle are ready to abandon him. So again, there's a lot of psych war. Now, the reason for closing the airports is he doesn't want these guys to leave before they can be arrested. And this article, which was over at Breitbart, is already out there drinking the Kool-Aid out there. They're declaring that Guaido is legally the nation's head of state, which is not true. And so far, only one of Maduro's inner circle has abandoned him, and that was his head of the security. And the U.S. has already relaxed sanctions on him. By the way, on that piece of propaganda that's floating around about how Guaido won the election last January, where that has originated is there was an election in the national parliament of Venezuela. Not a general election, not a presidential election. There was an election in the national parliament that Guaido's party won. But under Venezuelan law, that does not make him the president. They've got nothing to do with each other. It's just another way of trying to twist what's going on to sell the American people about, oh, our man Guaido is in and Maduro should be out. Apparently, Venezuela is now concerned that there may be a conflict with Colombia. Tensions between those two nations have been high for a while. Colombia, of course, is very much on board with the U.S. agenda there. Getting on over to Norway. Remember the big stink they made about this beluga whale that appeared in Norwegian waters wearing a harness, and oh my goodness, it's a Russian weapon, it's this, it's that, and then they realized the harness was actually stamped with identifying marks and had a GoPro camera on it. And it turned out that this is a tame beluga whale that is used as a child therapy animal. That's what the beluga whale was being used for. And obviously it escaped and hopefully will be sent back to its home. It's a child therapy animal. It's amazing. Alrighty, over in Africa, in Pretoria, South Africans demonstrated outside the U.S. Embassy trying to bring awareness to the epidemic of farm attacks and murders taking place across that country. There were 13 farm attacks and 3 murders over the Easter weekend alone. Now, we need to be paying close attention to what happened in South Africa right now. We need to pay attention to what happened over in Nigeria, or Zimbabwe rather, because of this growing, open, tolerated animosity toward white people in this country. We're seeing this buildup of this popular myth that white people are to blame for all the evils of society. And if enough non-whites start to believe it, it becomes a driving political force. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. We could actually see the same sort of things happen right here in the United States, where white people are dispossessed of their property and it's just open season on them. We ought to be paying attention to that. Okay, turning to our domestic politics, the circus is continuing. Democrats have voted to hold Attorney General Barr in contempt for failing to hand over documents that he is precluded by law from disclosing. Democrats are complaining of unprecedented White House obstruction, creating a constitutional crisis. And Trump is being described by these same Democrats as a racist, a traitor, an authoritative dictator, and worse. If you, like me, have wondered why the tradition of civil public discourse evaporated, there may be an answer. The Democrats' sole intention over the next year and a half is to create such chaos across our political landscape that the 2020 electoral pitch to the American people will be that the only way to end the chaos is to vote President Trump out of office. This appears to be the Democrats' last-ditch strategy. Just turn our political discourse into utter chaos and say, well, if you want it to go away, then you have to vote Trump out of office. We have to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Ann, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And so we're talking about the Democratic strategy, if you can call it that, going into 2020. Basically, the Democrats appear to have come to the understanding they can't engage Trump on policy. And the Democrats have sort of walled themselves into a corner with all this LGBT, transgender, open borders, political correctness nonsense, and they don't have anywhere to go with that. They've moved so far to the left, they really have lost touch with mainstream America. So this is their new strategy, that they're just going to keep the chaos going and hope the American people get tired enough of it so that in 2020 they can say, well, if you want it to stop, you got to vote Trump out. That seems to be it. Okay, let's go to the phones here. Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I wanted to respond to Joe from Tennessee about Trump. I never watched his show, but I remember his famous saying, "You're fired." Why is John Bolton still there?
I'm absolutely in agreement.
I know that was from a Washington Post article on how they misled him, but in the article it says Maduro, like Trump said this, supposedly in this article, he goes, Maduro is one tough cookie. They told him it was only going to take a short time to overthrow Maduro. So it seems Trump is still on this kick of regime change, which, like I go back to when he ran, he said he wasn't going to do this, which means he lied.
Yes.
I just, Joe from Tennessee, if somebody lies to you or doesn't do what he says he's going to do, not once but twice or three times, at that point, you got to say, you got to let the guy go. He is the president of the United States. He can fire anybody he wants. The CIA director, he can fire anybody he wants and replace them with good people. He doesn't. And that reflects him. If you keep bad people in your cabinet, then you are surrounded and you are bad also.
Yes.
If you surround yourself with good people, you're a good person. That's how easy it is to figure out, So I don't know what Trump's deal is. I don't watch any more. Mike, when he ran, I watched his rallies, and the debates with Hillary.
Yes.
And I watched it. I was happy when he got in, but you know what? I don't watch any of the rallies no more because how can you cheer with somebody who's not getting nothing done?
I'm in agreement, and I don't watch his rallies and speeches.
Yeah, because you know what? You're wasting your time if you do, because you're just going to be disappointed. I used to watch Obama's because I thought he was going to be hope and change. Can you hold me over?
Yeah, I'm going to hold you over. Dustin, stay on the line. We're going to put you on hold, and we'll be back after station identification.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Hey, and aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443, and we are talking with Dustin from New Jersey. And I share your disappointment with Donald Trump. And I worked very hard back in 2016, not so much in supporting Trump as opposing Hillary Clinton, but a lot of people in the independent media worked very hard in support of Donald Trump. And I'm very angry that he's turned his back on us and is really doing nothing about all this deplatforming. And he doesn't seem to understand that the independent media support that he got in 2016 is going to be gone in 2020 unless he does something about the problem.
You know, Mike, with Joe, I mean, Trump could replace the Joint Chiefs of Staff if he wanted, right? General Dunford, he can get rid of, right?
I think the chairman. I think the chairmanship he can. I'm not entirely sure about that, but certainly all those civilian agencies like DIA, CIA, FBI, NSA. Yeah, Trump can fire those people whenever he wants.
Yeah, because you know what's going to happen? Like if you surround yourself with if this stays, they're going to manipulate him. Either he's along with the manipulation or he's going to be manipulated. But the results are going to be the same. You know? I just don't understand how anybody can still stick with. I mean, as a human being, like you could just fire these people. Like, and with China, Mike, I'm like if you own a business and you're like dealing with another business, you're trying to do a deal with. Are you going to bring a 50 caliber machine gun to the deal you're trying to make? I mean, you don't send ships to China. I mean, it's just like you're trying to bully them into making a trade deal. I mean, the whole thing is, Mike, like, do you people realize, like, if it wasn't for the world and China buying our debt, we would have collapsed a long time ago? Like, we are the biggest debtor nation in the world. Like, we have $22 trillion in debt, $20 trillion missing through the Pentagon, trillion supposedly unfunded liabilities. That's the most debt in the history of the world.
Yeah.
And the world buys our debt. You know, I mean, you cannot say, oh, the Chinese are stealing this or that or whatever. You know what? The Chinese, everybody steals everybody's technology. We do it, the British do it, the United States, everybody. China does it, Russia does it. That's part of industrial espionage, per se, or or NSA, what they do. But I mean, this whole trade thing is, I don't know what the stock market was today, but I mean, it's not going to work out well because in the long run,
it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Now, supposedly, China's trade delegation has just now arrived at the Washington, D.C. headquarters of the trade representatives where the meetings are going to be held. So apparently they're at least talking to each other. But we're just about, I think, 7 hours away from Trump's tariff increases going into effect. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. Meanwhile, we have another caller who wanted to be put on the air with you, Dustin. Slim in Canada, are you on the line?
Hello.
Hello, Slim.
Hi. I'm calling in to not really to defend Joe, but to really understand his psychology and sort of thing. I may be out of place here by saying this, and I may be wrong, but I think what it is Joe's sort of pot committed. You know what I mean? Like in poker, how you're pot committed.
Yes.
He sort of invested all his chips, the majority of his chips, into the pot, and he feels like he's kind of pot committed with Trump. I mean, I love his points.
That's
I love
a good way to put it.
I concur with Dustin 100%. Sorry, go ahead.
From your, yes, you're right. I mean, I still hold hope. Like, you know, it's all like a ruse, like by Trump to pull these people out. I think Joe from Tennessee thinks the same. I mean, you know, we had this whole thing with was it not 4chan? What was the QAnon, which was crap? But you know, you feel like you have, because you know it's human nature to really hold out a 1% hope that this dude's gonna really pull through. But I mean, like it's 2.5 years in. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
See, the thing is, I'd like to simplify it. I mean, think about it this way. I understand why. I think the media, believe it or not, with their negativity and all this thing, they're sort of driving some people towards Trump because the people don't trust the media so much. They've been lied to so much that whatever the media says, whatever they do, people sort of go the opposite to sort of spite. And I think that's sort of one of the reasons why some people are sort of brainwashed into, like, not brainwashed, but sort of led to believe that maybe this is right. And anything he does, it's like he can do wrong with a lot of people. Like, and not Joe necessarily, because you can tell Joe has a logical way. He's not really necessarily, you know, all guns ho, but you can tell he's still on the Trump train. Obviously, I jumped off the Trump train when Trump bombed, you know, the first time he bombed Syria. I was already off the Trump train, right? But when the guy bombs before he builds, you know, you're a builder. You build buildings. You can build bridges. You can build roads. When bridges are falling down through the course of your presidency, people are like, rather than, you know, abortions being or this and this and regulating abortions, they're being worse now. People, guns, rather than being, we're not gonna take your guns. Yeah, you are. Yeah, they are. They're taking your guns. We're not gonna do this. Yeah, they are. They've been doing everything that he said he was gonna do. The opposite is happening. Whether it's a spite or you want to blame the Democrats, you want to blame this, no, it's still happening as is. I think personally, Trump has been compromised. He has a lot of family, a lot of things to lose, right? He's a rich guy. He doesn't need to be bribed into it like other politicians have been, obviously, but he has a lot of family members that could end up like, you know, JFK's brother, you know, any one of the Kennedys that have messed with the establishment.
The problem, like, when Trump ran, you know, like I was just like, this guy is going to be, you know, he's going to get rid of the deep state. You know, he's going to clean things up. But I was it's not going to happen. You know, yeah, I just don't see it happening. And you know what? It leaves us. I know Mike probably feels it doesn't want to make you vote anymore. I'm not. I had it. It's like whoever you vote for, it seems like it don't matter, or they're just not really. They're not with you. Not even 100%, but not even 10%, because there's still no wall built. They got this report of the illegals. The federal government's letting 180,000 illegals out. That was on the Drudge Report. And Trump, you're fired. Why doesn't he fire the head of the immigration and put somebody in to get rid of the illegals? You know, I don't understand.
He's compromised.
Yeah.
That's his fault because he's not much of a man to do anything about it.
They've got a leash and collar on Donald Trump. We don't know how it's being done, if it's blackmail or threats to kill him, or. But you know, he's under the control of the system.
Anybody facing the barrel of a gun, I don't care who you are. Nobody's a man when you're facing the barrel of a gun. You know what I mean? Like, and anybody can be taken out. I don't care how good a security is. The guy can be taken out, and I'm not defending him. He's doing crap. He's utter garbage, and it's not like anybody. But then again, what real, other than a few leaders out that are actually doing good? I mean, the establishment has you know, they have their tentacles on pretty much everything, and those that we think, as soon as we think that this guy is going to steer this way, he steers the opposite way. And I mean, you know, like I did the same way. I gave all my support towards, even though I'm Canadian, I gave all my support towards Trump. I lost multiple friends because of it. I lost my support for Trump. They didn't come back. So I really, you know, I guess they weren't whatever. But I mean, it is what it is. And I mean, I invested a lot of this and this and this. I think it's the same way. That's the only way I could logically think of why anybody would still support this dummy, right? Is is if they have no, like, they sort of feel like, you know, they're pot committed and this and this. And if you supported him as well, I mean, I have to say it again, don't feel bad about the fact that you supported him. We were all bamboozled at the same time.
Yep.
You know, there's, you know, like, you have buyer's remorse and this and this. I mean, we were the one that were betrayed. You know what I mean? Like, it was we were naive to think that maybe, just for once, maybe we'd get it the way, maybe once somebody that's actually saying he's not a politician, he actually, maybe he'll do what he, no, they're all dummies, all of them.
But it really,
just
Mike,
donkeys in
before I
a
get off
farm.
the phone, it really crushed me just because, you know, I had like so much hope on him. You know, we all did, and it's just like, it's over. Like, you know, like it's like who else do we got? You know, when he ran against Hillary, I knew this was the bottom of the barrel this country had left.
Yes.
But, I mean, you still had hope, but look at the fools after him. I mean, I'm not talking Tulsi Gabbard because they won't. Come on, but like Joe Biden and stuff, we all know about Biden and Ukraine with his. I mean, that's it. It's over. Like, there's nobody there. The
Tulsi
whole
was on.
Republican it's like over.
Tulsi was on late night talk shows. She was talking about how Assad gassed his own people. So, like, I don't get how she goes one way and then when she's on TV, she goes another way. You know what
Tulsi
I mean?
actually said that Assad gassed his own people?
Yeah, on the, the Colbert Report.
I find that amazing that she would say that.
Yeah, he asked him, he asked him, did Assad gas his own people? She said, yes, based on our intelligence, he killed his own people. That blew me away.
Well, that blew me
surprised you
away
guys don't
too,
know.
and Tulsi is now definitely off my list of people to be positive about going into 2020. Anyway, listen, guys.
I think we need a break.
Yeah, guys, we've got other phone calls waiting to go here. So Dustin and Slim, thank you very much. We're going to let you go, and we're going to switch over to Sherry in Texas. Aloha, Sherry. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, yeah, I think we all want a break. Listen, Dustin, you always say something that gets me thinking. I totally agree with you. You know, and I agree with your frustration is what I agree with. But I just want to add another layer to it, okay? I mean, I feel it too. And it makes me mad. Sometimes I have to turn off the TV. Sometimes I just can't. Well, there's a lot I can't watch. But a lot may be fueled by hate now. But like Trump said today in his talk, they know the truth. Everyone now knows the truth. Haters are just willing to lie. That's all. They're not going to pick an FBI director that doesn't lie. He has to be willing to lie. I don't care who they come up with. The Pope had to be willing to go with the flow. He couldn't say, oh, gee, we've got a problem here because, you know, everyone has to go along with it. I believe lies eventually will be consumed by truth because those who lie create this hellfire that's going to burn itself out. This is my belief. Now, this is my la-la land belief. But what a tangled web they weave, you know, and this is it. The more transparent they become, the more they lie, the more transparent they become. And we'll know the truth eventually because they're weaving this tangled web and they're going to be consumed by it, you know. And but we very may likely have to collapse first. See, this is lies will consume the truth. Lies will always be consumed by truth. Truth is divine. It's omnipotent. You know, if you want to look at it that way, we have to collapse first before we can come back and gather our strength, all of us together. I just want you to consider that those who are willing to hate now are also willing to lie, because I can't think of anyone out there that doesn't know the truth. I don't know anyone that is so dense that they can't see that in an inquiry you can't put innocent people in jeopardy by giving out unredacted notes on the inquiry. This isn't a jury system. I don't think anyone's so dense that they can't see that. They're just willing to lie about it. And we're going to keep on hearing this garbage until, the stock market hasn't been very honest either. They're going to have to get truthful. Now, that's a big jump. That's all I can say. So I think we could go down in the meantime, but we'll still be here, and we might not be able to keep it. I don't know about communication, all that, but just consider the possibility. That's all I can say. They weave this tangled web, and they're going to become so transparent that they're already doing it now. We're all wise to them, you know.
Well, do you remember that
And they're
comment that was made by the former head of the CIA? I think it was just about a week ago, where he came on out and he said his job when he was at CIA was to lie, cheat, and steal. And we understand that's basically what CIA does. It's what all the intelligence agencies do. They lie for a living. And
Yes,
that is a
good.
reality. And I think one of the reasons that Trump can't seem to find anybody to put into these positions is because everybody lined up behind the current leadership is just as willing to lie, cheat, and steal. That's how they got to be as high up in the organizations as they are.
I couldn't agree more. That just kind of rounds it all out right there. And this is what we're going to be dealing with. Well, I don't want to get religious-y on everyone. It's not fair, because this is this is what I like about your show. Is it is serious and straightforward, and but yeah, they're creating a hellfire that will burn itself out, and they will be the ones consumed, and that's my belief. So I'll just leave it there.
All right. Well, Sherry, thank you very much for the phone call, and we're going to let you go and switch over to Mark in Florida. Mark, thank you for waiting so patiently all this time, and what is on your mind?
Oh, thanks for letting me in. I just wanted to comment. The gentleman was saying, why doesn't Trump claim that he's a victim of a coup? Well, Trump's committing 100 coups around the world. Syria, Palestine, the coup that he paid off Ecuador to get Assange. He's full of coups. He's committing so many coups, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, but this one was directed against him by people within our own government. And yes, it technically qualifies as a coup. And the big question is, why is he not responding to it?
Because he's committing coups himself. How can they?
I don't think that has
racist-
anything to do with that. I mean, the U.S. foreign policy against these other countries is one thing, but Trump, sitting in the White House, feeling his power and his presence and his ego, that's something else. And it does seem rather weak on his part that he isn't responding more to this coup d'etat, other than his Twitter feed, which is hardly a decisive action.
That would be his modus operandi. But I look at it as a rapist can't claim he's being raped. That's how I look at it.
Okay, that's one way of looking at it. I think there's something else going on.
I do too. Thank you, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Fred in Iowa. Aloha, Fred. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, thank you, Mike. I believe the lady before Mark, her name was Sarah. I pretty much agree with her, everything she said. In the end, the truth will come out. And then that will be the end, in my estimation. 6 months before the election of Trump and Hillary Clinton, I decided then that I was not going to vote, which I didn't, and I'm not going to vote again for president. Because whoever we get, the next president, whether it's Trump or we get another, the same thing is going to be. But the truth is getting out. And all I got to say is this, and then I'm off the air. Choose this day who you will follow. Thank you, Mike. Have a good day.
All right,
Bye-bye.
thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go, and the phone lines are now open again if you want to call on in. 800-313-9443. So somebody inside the IRS apparently illegally leaked tax filings from Donald Trump from 20 years ago. And it was an embarrassment because it showed he lost a lot of money, but there was nothing illegal in there. So this bombshell issue of Trump's tax returns really seemed to go nowhere. Now, Congress, of course, is saying that was the wrong period of tax returns, and they're still out there digging. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. And before we go back to the phone lines here, I went and I looked at that Late Show interview with Tulsi Gabbard. And, you know, it's interesting. Back in 2017, she was out there saying that she didn't think Assad was behind the chemical weapons attack. She thought it was other terrorist groups. But on this Late Show episode, which apparently took place in March of this year, she was mixing it up with Stephen Colbert, and he was challenging her on why she'd met Assad. And Gabbard said she did so in pursuit of peace and security. If you're not willing to meet with adversaries or potential adversaries, the only alternative is more war. Now, Gabbard refused to characterize Assad as a war criminal, but when Colbert pressed her on the claim that Assad gassed his own people, Gabbard said, yes, reports have shown that's a fact. And then she denied she'd ever suggested otherwise. So Tulsi's turning out to be just another politician. Then Colbert came on out with one of these exceptionalist comments, and he said, I don't know whether America should be the policeman of the world. Gabbard said, in my opinion, we should not be. Colbert said, if we are not, though, nature abhors a vacuum, and if we are not involved in international conflicts or trying to quell international conflicts, certainly the Russians and the Chinese will fill that vacuum, and we will step away from the world stage in a significant way that might destabilize the world, because the United States, however flawed, is a force for good in the world, in my opinion. And that is basically why I don't watch Stephen Colbert any longer. All right. Boy, the phone lines have loaded up. Let's go to Peter in California. Aloha, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
You know, Mike, all the talk about Trump, and I know I took a little bit of crap when I, in a fit of pique about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, I referred to Trump as a brainless, gutless pig, which, by the way, I still stand by.
Uh-huh.
But we voted for the guy to do all the things that he was supposed to do: the border, the wars, non-involvement in destabilizing governments, and all the things that he said he was going to do or wasn't going to do. The only interests that have inexorably ground on, Mike, the border is still a problem. The wars are still going on, even though he, just like Obama, he explicitly said it wasn't going to happen.
Yep.
He was going to get out of, they grind on. And the only group whose interests are inexorably moved forward, 26 states now say it's illegal to criticize Israel or
Yes.
Jews. We're still in Syria. They want us to be there. We're there. We were in Libya. They wanted us to be in Libya. We were there. We trashed Libya. They want us to go to war with Iran and fed us some information, apparently, and now there's the Abraham Lincoln Battle Group cruising full speed ahead to Iran to force some sort of thing. Trump comes out and says he doesn't trust Bolton. No, Bolton is moving towards war, which he was against in the election. Of course, Sheldon Adelson put Bolton and Pompeo in there, and yet they're still there. They know he's being subverted. They know that Soros was behind Antifa, and Antifa, all these riots, it's an organ of the color-coded revolutions and everything else. And they know that it's an arm of this power that Soros wields. It's still there. Soros is still there. Everybody's still there, Mike.
Yep.
And the only interests that grind forward without just inexorably are Israel's and the Jews, who, of course, since they can print money, out of nothing, they can do just about anything they want. So I can't think of any other interests that we have that have ground forward at all. If you can think of any,
things are going downhill for the American people. There's no question about it. And corporate media and the politicians are out there trying to reassure us everything's fine, everything's wonderful. Really, if things are bad for you personally, it's your own fault.
Mike, can you think of anything? American, U.S. citizen, Florida, Tennessee, New Jersey, California, any interests of ours that have moved forward under this president or even the last president. But
I haven't seen it.
Look at the interests of the foreign country and the 2% population that have moved forward. Right? You can't criticize anybody now anymore.
Yep.
All the things that have made huge quantum leaps, and it's hard to escape who we're being ruled by. But and both parties, it goes with both parties, Mike.
Yep.
So, anyways, that's my comment. And
well, the money rules everything, and of course, that's certainly not the way this country was set up. Anyway, Peter, we're going to let you go, and we've got to take another break for commercials. We have more callers waiting on the line when we get back from these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds, up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AROutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AROutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. I just got an email from somebody saying that Peter from LA is spot on. Let's go back to the phones here to Carrie in California. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, Peter from Los Angeles is right on. And I wouldn't be surprised someday to find out that Trump is just a deep state neocon, and he always was, and he fooled us in the primaries, in the election. I don't know if that's true or not. I hope it's not. But
Well,
I
again, in my
wouldn't be surprised if we
defense,
find that out.
again, in my defense, back in 2016, it wasn't so much that I supported Donald Trump as I was absolutely opposed to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, well, me too. But I think he should change those red hats from MAGA to MEGA, make Israel great again, because nothing like the two callers before that, Dustin and the gentleman from Canada, nothing's being done.
Yeah.
He talked about America. Well, nothing's being done in America, but everything's for Israel. Mike, yesterday I was doing something during the first hour of your show, and it sounded like some guy called up and said he called the special forces scumbags. Is that true?
Yeah.
And as a retired Marine, that's offensive to me. And, we can't have, these decisions be made at a lower level. I mean, they got to be made at the Pentagon behind closed doors with the suits up there and the military generals. We, as Marines and soldiers, we don't make policy at a low level. And for us to do our job, we can't be called scumbags like that from this guy. I'm offended.
Well, I
Anyway.
understand exactly how you feel. The context of the phone call was that U.S. helicopters had been caught once again dropping food and supplies to the ISIS terrorists in the Anbar province. And obviously, for a lot of Americans, this is something our military ought not to be doing.
Exactly, but it's not up to that level. I used to fly helicopters in Vietnam myself. And, we might get a mission where we're taking supplies out to certain coordinates and drop them to troops. And they might have been friendly troops. They might have been Vietnamese. They might have been Montagnards. They might have been something else. But it's not up to me to say I'm not going to take this mission because I don't agree with it. That's...
Yeah, I understand.
Once we get down
I
to
understand.
that level, the whole system falls apart.
Yeah, that's essential to a functioning military. And he did go over the line with the word scumbags. I'll agree with you on that.
Right. And just a question about Tulsi Gabbard. Did she say she wanted to open the southern border of the United States?
I actually have to be honest. I'm not up to date on what her policy is on that. But again, we're already seeing that between 2017 and earlier this year, she's already done a flip-flop regarding Assad gassing his own people. So at this point, we already know we really can't trust what she's saying.
Yeah, if that's what she meant, I'm not sure about the context in that Stephen Colbert piece. I don't know, so I'm not going to judge. But anyway, I just want to make a point that I disagree with you and some other callers about not voting. I think that's a wrong approach. I agree with, and I never do it myself, voting for a Republican or a Democrat. I agree with Jesse Ventura on that. And if they see people voting, but not voting for those two parties, going out to some third parties, the numbers pile up, and all of a sudden they might get the message. But if we don't vote, they'll say, great, we just take the people that do vote, for us, and we'll just go with that. So non-voting, I don't think works. But let's see, I can't accept the two-party system. I think they got control of both of them. And, divide and conquer is what they're doing with that two-party system, creating chaos, and it's deflecting our attention from the real issues.
Well, our country certainly didn't. Our country didn't start out with a two-party system. That was brought along long after. I did a quick check here, and Tulsi Gabbard is saying that she sides with Donald Trump regarding immigration, from which I suspect it means that she'll wag her finger at the border, but if she becomes president, will not likely do anything about it.
Okay, well, thanks for clearing that up. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right, thanks an awful lot. Let's switch over to Jim in Michigan. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, thank you so much. And you know what? I'm a little bit older than you. I'll be 71 this year. And I've gone through so many...
Well, Claire just turned 70 today.
Really? Well,
Yeah, it's her birthday.
She's still taking it. Happy birthday. And, what I'm thinking, Michael, and I called about another issue. I'm talking about sugar ants, but I just want to, the redundancy as far as Breitbart, which I look at every day, and I'm just going, they're kind of playing us for fools because they set the premise as far as what we're going to talk about, okay? And again, we just dissect everything that they say, but they said, the premise as far as what the issues are. And, you talk about the news and they're talking about the transgender weightlifters or the speedsters and stuff. And like, why are we even talking about that? I'm thinking, why are the states even allowing this to happen? But anyways, and what I want to say is that I found a really good thing for your information, okay? I had these, are you familiar with sugar ants?
Yes.
Well, and we've had them for years here, and they come up through our window going off of our sink, and they just take over everything. So, I use poison sprays on my counter and stuff like that. But I found something that works so good. It only took 7 hours, and they all left and never came back.
And what was that?
Very cool. Well, you take a cup of water, okay? And the thing about the little sugar ants, they're little tiny guys that take over everything, but they can't distinguish between borax and
Yes.
sugar. Okay?
Yes, I've used
So you
that
get
myself.
20 mil. Oh, it's worked so good. Maybe
Yes.
people don't know about it because I've been using poison for years. But I did a cup of water, half a cup of sugar, and 3 tablespoons of borax, and they put that on like there's the cotton pads that women use to take their makeup off, So we pulled those in half. We put them on the area at my windowsill, and it was like I opened up a bar for the sugar ants.
Yep.
They were all over it, and within 6 hours, they were gone.
Yeah, well,
Never
that's what
came
we
back.
use around here as well, so that we don't, spray all those toxic chemicals here in our home. Anyway, listen, Jim, thanks for the household hint, and we're going to switch on over to Dee in California. Aloha, Dee. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, how you doing today?
Doing okay.
Good, good. So I had a little theory about Trump and then also Obama and Bush. They usually keep selecting who they're selecting. Obviously, elections are not to us, but it's because, what some of your callers said earlier, it's because they have families, not their kids. I think that they're being compromised with their families because Trump obviously cares about his kids, Obama did. And the reason I think Hillary won't ever get in, she doesn't really care about Chelsea. So they can't compromise her. She has no one. I don't think she cares about Bill. I don't think she cares too much about Chelsea. It's only about her.
Yeah.
So that's why I guess Bill got a chance to be president. But I don't think Hillary's ever going to get in because the deep state, or whatever you want to call them, they know that she's going to absolutely be lawless. And there's going to be no control of her. Nothing they can blackmail her with. Just a thought. What do you think?
Yeah, there's no question Hillary is still monomaniacally focused on herself. I mean, she's a classic narcissistic personality. And I think that she is still considering stepping back in 2020, even with all of her health issues, and even following this 10-city Evening with Bill and Hillary Clinton book tour, which fizzled miserably to the point where they were practically giving the seats away for the last 2 stops just to make it look like somebody had bothered to show up. And that has to be telling Hillary that she doesn't have the broad-based support of the electorate that she enjoyed back in 2016. But that might not stop her because we know the election system can be rigged. We know that they're flooding this country with illegal immigrants who can be counted on to vote Democratic in exchange for all the free stuff that'll be taken away from the rest of us. So, yeah, I am very concerned that Hillary's stepping back in.
It also kind of seems like the media has given up on her as well, because they would cover some of these rallies and maybe just bring a very small camera for the small view and make it seem like everyone's coming to these events. But it seems like they don't even want to.
No, she didn't get the media coverage. She didn't get the media coverage. The media, let's face it, for the last 2 years has been totally focused on attacking Trump, pushing that whole Trump-Russia collusion story, which fizzled. Anyway, listen, Dee, we're going to let you go here and get to another caller. David in Iceland. Aloha, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, it's me.
Yes.
Hello.
You're on the air.
Mike, thank you. I want to thank you for the best show probably on the earth.
Thank you.
And congratulations with your wife. She has a birthday today.
Yes.
Yes. Big birthday, 70 years
Yes.
old. Congratulations to her.
I'll
She's
forward that
listening.
on to you, or to her.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I just want to tell you that I'm calling from Iceland, and we have a Iceland-run state media called RUV.
Yeah.
And it was the first one to publish the collateral damage video from WikiLeaks.
Okay.
Okay. And Julian Assange is now in jail.
Yes.
And he didn't publish it. It was Icelandic reporters who got the what can we say? He probably did this behind the back of the state to run this on Icelandic TV. Because Icelanders are very innocent and they believe everything USA is doing is
Yes.
good and everything is fine. And this was taken from in July 12, 2007, from Apache helicopter. Am I right? In Iraq.
Yes.
Yeah. And the guy who aired this, who had the news on this, he got fired from the state-run media. And his name is Christian Hrafnsson. He is now the spokesman for WikiLeaks. And he's the one that appeared on the steps in front of the jail that Julian Assange is now in.
Yes. Belmarsh Prison.
And yeah, and I'm wondering why he can, go everywhere he wants, and I mean he's a really good journalist. He's just probably one of the best in Iceland.
Good.
But he can't find a job in Iceland, and he's now the spokesman of WikiLeaks, and he was showing up with Pamela Anderson in front of the jail that Julian Assange is inside.
Okay.
And now Manningen has been in prison for 6 weeks or more.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's about that,
and,
about 2 months.
Yeah, and it's like the Icelandic state learned something from this. So now probably nothing is going out the glasses of the Americans, especially from the embassy. And this is probably the thing that got Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, the worldwide fame, because probably if the innocent Icelanders didn't publish this would probably be still on USB drive somewhere.
Yes.
And now we have a Eurovision Song Contest in Europe. That's pretty big in Europe.
Well, actually, this
to
year
bring
it's supposed to be
people
held
together.
in Tel Aviv, actually in Jerusalem, but there's already talk of a
Yes.
massive boycott against it.
Yeah, and the Icelandic Act, that is, there was a big protest in Iceland against Iceland was competing. So we had a band that showed up. It's so people can Google it. It's not Atari like the old computers. It's Hatari with an H in front.
Okay.
So if you put Hatari and Eurovision Song Contest, together in Google or StartPage or DuckDuckGo or whatever, you can find their interviews. And they've been, the government in Israel and the state-run media there has been trying to cut them off. And they are showing up in BDSM costumes. And, everything they do, it's to resemble, it's not supposed to be a BDSM because there is an organization in Israel that's called BDS, that's protesting,
Yes.
everything against the Palestinians.
Yes.
Have you heard about that?
Yes, we talk about it quite a bit here. Anyway, listen, David, I hate to do this to you, but we're at a commercial break, and we need to end the phone call. We got another caller waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
Do you know there is an ongoing war right here in America? Are you aware that U.S. citizens have been classified as enemies of the state since 1933? Have you recognized that our entire government is really a vast network of interlocking corporations engaged in commerce? Look up Title 28, Section 3002. Tune in to In Defense of Humanity on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Find out what's really going on and learn how to protect yourself and your family as flesh and blood men and women living in a corporate reality.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75% dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go right back to the phones here to Robert in California. Robert, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Mike. Happy birthday to your wife. Wow, 70, that's a big year.
Yep.
I hope I only am lucky to make it that far.
Well, I mean, obviously, nobody can ever say that either of us tragically died young.
You got that going for you. Hey, I've been looking at something lately over the past day and a half or so, advertising in general. Have you ever noticed how advertising kind of placates to the emotional fears of the potential consumer? They're all big about, just playing off people's fears and suggesting something that's going to make everybody feel emotionally gratified, and therefore they buy the product. Have you noticed? You've noticed that, okay?
Well, it's not a new trend in advertising. I mean, they're taking it to new heights. But advertising has been getting more and more involved with emotional triggers, and less with the quality of the product. And students of advertising will go back to, and what they call it is the Pond's effect. Remember the Pond's face cream?
Basically started in the 50s.
Yeah, and that was sold with this advertising line for the skin he loves to touch. And that was a major change, because prior to that, products like that, it was simply these are the ingredients.
Have you noticed that Jews own most of the advertising?
Let me finish my story about the Pond's thing. Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, prior to the Pond's ad campaign, the ads for products basically contained the ingredients and what it was for, and that was basically it. But the Pond's campaign for the skin he loves to touch was such a huge success. From then on, more and more advertising agencies started using emotional hooks.
Yeah, I blame the weakness of the psychology of mankind on that one. Boy, didn't they capitalize on an opportunity there? Oh, man. Have you noticed that the Jews run most of the media? Most of advertising, it's coming from a basis which usually is providing itself as either corporate or Jewish or both.
Yeah, I know that's a reality. But, getting on back to the advertising itself, it's not like advertising is the only one who exploits emotions. I mean, all of Las Vegas runs on hitting people in their emotion. I mean, Las Vegas is one single giant Skinner box. So there's a lot of applied psychology in many, many different aspects of our life.
Oh, you're so right about that. Do you mind if I use that term, Skinner box? That was a good one.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's not original with me. You have to go back and read the works of B.F. Skinner and understand, or if you really want to understand Las Vegas, intermittent reinforcement. And it is. That's why gambling is an addiction. And I got to see a lot of that close up when I worked in Vegas years ago. Okay,
Man,
anyway, there's the
something
music.
to do.
There's the music, Robert. We got to let you go and take a break for station identification. We got more callers waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 3. Boy, we've had a lot of callers today, and we're going to go back to the phones now to Paul in New Jersey. Aloha, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. First of all, for the Trump voters out there, don't be too hard on yourself. Hillary was way worse.
Yes.
Hillary had said she wanted to attack Iran, and Hillary had said was a known war criminal. So we did what we were the best we could do. That's what we got. Although personally, Rand Paul, in my opinion, would have been better. He's the guy I wanted. But anyway, concerning Trump, a lot of people say, he's very dualistic. If he wasn't an alpha male, we'd call him wishy-washy.
Yes.
There's a great quote from the Bible that says, "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." And I think that's fitting of Trump. When he's always switching to please one crowd, then to the next crowd he says something absolutely different. And he did that just about a month and a half ago at CPAC when he said, we need the migrants to work in our factories. And then a week later he backtracked on that.
Well, he did it just recently. I mean, just a week ago, China's trade talks are going great, and then all of a sudden we're going to slam them with 25% tariffs on their products. So at this point, Trump is weak. Wishy-washy is a good term to use. He's easily manipulated. He's susceptible to flattery. And he's letting himself get talked into all kinds of decisions by the people around him, especially John Bolton and Mike Pompeo. And like I said, Venezuela will be the litmus test as to who is really calling the shots inside that White House.
Yeah, and what's interesting, for such a while we heard all this talk about a 4D chess and whatnot. And in a sense, that could be part of his, a genius, as they called it, strategic ambiguity. And he was brilliant in becoming president. That he did. Out of a pack of 17 other contenders, he came up on top. So there are lessons to be learned from him as to gain power.
Yeah.
But then with him following through and actually delivering to his constituency is where he's failed. Now, I think the thing to do is we pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and basically say, Trump, you betrayed us. So unless you snap to within the next 6 months, we really like Rand Paul, or we really like Tulsi Gabbard, or we really like some Democratic candidate, and just start, hopefully not Joe Biden, and basically promote them, and be willing to leave, because that's where you become a powerful agent. That's when the politicians will court you, because if you kiss a politician's butt, he's got your vote now. He can ignore you and move on to the next person. But if you stay aloof and don't show him any, fealty or attraction towards him, then he has to court you. Then you're in the position of power temporarily until they get elected. And so, one last thing I'd like to promote. I don't know if you ever listened to Jimmy Dore on YouTube.
Occasionally, yes.
Listen to this guy.
Yep.
Yeah, because I think he's a really good guy on the left, and I think to all my righty buddies out there, and I'm mostly on the right, but some of these good intended liberals are really a pleasure to listen to. And this Jimmy Dore is a good comedian, so I urge others to listen to him. He's kind of very critical of the mainstream Biden Democrat. He's got a great take on it.
Yeah.
I urge people to tune into him, of course, after your show, Michael.
Well, thank you for that little follow-up on that. Yeah, the issue with Biden, he's shot to the top of the Democratic polls, primarily on his name value and the fact that he used to be vice president. He's carrying a lot of baggage with him, though, including the Uncle Creepy stuff. There was some shady business dealings with his son, Hunter Biden, that could be a political scandal as well. But right now, it's hard to see anybody in that Democratic field that, to me, makes a good presidential candidate. It just, they all look like just more of the same. And I've lost my enthusiasm. If Hillary doesn't come on in, I'm probably not going to pick a side in 2020. I'm just going to report the news and say, yeah, this is what's going on here. But I can't bring myself to support Trump again.
Yeah, but you know what you can do is vote third party as a protest vote. And if more people do it, these third parties could become big. All the people who stay at home and, don't want to vote, if they would just pick one third party candidate, as a libertarian or someone, just to shake up things, it would have incredible political effects. So I always vote no matter what. And I've voted more for third parties in my voting history than I have for the major two parties. And with a choice between Biden and Trump, you got a Republican who was a former Democrat, and then you got a Democrat who's basically pretty much a Republican. So there's these two guys are centrists. They'll agree on everything. That's really no choice for president in 2020.
I agree.
Yeah, and on that note, thank you, Michael.
All right, thanks an awful lot here. We're going to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates rejoining our network, and we're going to go back to the phones to Jim in New York. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Although Paul is certainly intelligent, I have to unfortunately agree with the caller yesterday. He said that if Tulsi Gabbard were elected, she'd become a warmonger. Perhaps they're threatening their families or whatever. You could elect Mother Teresa, and before you know it, she'd be drone attacking civilians in Syria. I think President is, I hate to say it, he's just a puppet.
Yeah.
I think they're either threatened. I don't know what is in President Trump's heart. He may have meant well, may have been sincere, but who knows? Maybe they threatened his family and his grandchildren. We don't know. The CIA, they're dirty. They'll do anything.
Yes.
And I wouldn't put it past. I mean, they may bring you in to the back room as soon as you're elected and show you the Zapruder film and say, well, this is what happens to you if you don't go along with the plan. So, yeah, I'm afraid I agree with that caller yesterday. Even if Tulsi got in, and remember, she's a CFR member for what it's worth. So
Okay.
I don't know.
So that makes her a globalist.
Well, it not necessarily, but it raises a question. Another thing I was going to mention, the other day you mentioned Dave Hodges.
Yes.
About 6 years ago, you bounce around on the internet, and I went to his site. This guy is consistently wrong. Every week or every month is another doomsday scenario. A few years it was Comet Elenin. It's going to destroy us.
Yep.
Ebola is going to kill us all. There's 100,000 Chinese troops in Mexico.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Is always wrong, and you got to be careful. A lot of these, I guess, alt-right people are consistently wrong. They're the boy crying wolf,
Yes.
Steve Quayle, Gerald Celente. His track record's terrible. He's been calling for a depression for 20 years. Max Kaiser, another one. 7 years ago, he called for a dollar collapse. 7 years ago. So these guys, they're wrong all the time. Now, eventually, they'll be right. Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yes.
But their track records are terrible. They should be embarrassed, to be honest with you. They're always wrong. Now, if you say, well, something could happen, but they actually pretty much predicted it, said this is going to happen this year, and they were wrong. So you got to, Dave Hodges, take him with a grain of salt. He's been wrong for 6 years, so just so you know that.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the insight, and thank you very much for the phone call, and we're going to let you go. The phone lines are finally again open. Let's get on back here to the news. Speaking of Tulsi Gabbard, she is not getting a lot of press. She declared her candidacy back on February 2nd. She had a couple of public events here on the island of Oahu. Right now, she's the 13th most mentioned Democratic candidate on TV news, according to FAIR's most recent count. But basically, the press attention she's getting focuses around her anti-interventionism, the belief that U.S. interference in foreign countries, especially in the form of regime change wars, increases the suffering of those citizens. And she did make a point of saying that on the Stephen Colbert show. Now, I'm very alarmed and concerned that she went from 2017 saying that Assad was not behind the chemical attacks to saying that there are intelligence reports saying it did happen. And I think she's basically trying to sort of hedge her bets because she knows that a lot of voters are still convinced by TV corporate news that Assad gassed his own people. All right, we're going to take another phone call here. Sam in Thailand. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
First time calling here. I just wanted to touch back on the Tulsi Gabbard, that interview that was on Colbert.
Yes.
And basically, he tried to sabotage her from the beginning, and she just held her cool. Now, if you look at the committees that she's been on and she has been on, she didn't necessarily point to a specific incident. She was just saying on both sides there were chemical attacks, per se. Now, she's on different committees. She has information that people like us do not have access to. So I wouldn't really put too much into that. It was just kind of a general statement. So I just wanted to comment on that. As far as this, how do you say it? There's all this conspiracy. Well, they bring them in the back room if you're elected president. They're going to threaten your family. I don't put too much into it. I believe that, the presidency is a very complicated job. You're constantly having different people pull at you for different, for any kind of agenda. So it's up to somebody to make, the president to make a decision. Unfortunately, Trump is not doing very well in that regard.
No, and there was a story a while back that Trump actually was taking what was called politely executive time, where he wasn't taking meetings. And I got the distinct impression, Donald Trump wanted to be president. I mean, he was talking about it all during his life, and he worked really hard to become president. And now that he is president, his ego is satisfied. And it almost seems like he likes the trappings of the jobs, like the rallies and the media attention. But he's just letting others around him do the nuts and bolts, like John Bolton and, Mike Pompeo.
Sure. I agree with that. I'm also pretty much in your. I did not vote for Trump. I did not vote at all in the last election. But better him than Hillary was my thing as well.
That was exactly my attitude.
Yeah, and if it comes back down to it in this next, I mean, I don't even know why this election. It's like over a year away. So
you wouldn't know it to look at that TV set. I mean,
right.
it's.
I agree that Hillary's going to step back in, and it doesn't really matter because if the DNC wants her, then she's in, and then they go from there. But there really isn't anybody else that's emerging. Tulsi Gabbard is not going to go anywhere. She might get a vice VP pick, maybe, but
maybe. But I mean, Hillary could do in 2020 what she did in 2016. Simply walk into the Democratic National Committee with a huge pile of money, plunk it down, and say, "Here, you're back in business, and I'm going to call the shots."
Right. Anyways, also, I watched Trump's rally yesterday, and basically it's just sweet nothings, and I'm not buying it. Buying anything he's saying anymore. I just see nothing getting done, and I realize that he's been plagued. It's just as a person, you can imagine what he's been through. Everybody. You wake up in the morning, you're just barraged with hate. So I'm sure personally, he doesn't feel great about that. Other than that, I want to ask you. I was working in the film industry back in '89, '91.
Yep.
And you live there, right?
We're talking Southern California.
Right, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right, Los Angeles. Did you? I think it was back in 1990. Did you attend that Fairfax High School rally?
No.
It was or Palestinians. It
Nope.
was an interesting time. Ellsberg, Ramsey, and lots of other speakers there. It was a good time. So I was active in the first anti-Gulf protest movement, but I've been living overseas for a long time now. Anyways, just dropped in to say hello.
Well, hello, and thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go. The phone lines are open. Apparently, the Department of Justice has told the House Judiciary Committee either cancel the contempt vote against the Attorney General, or the Attorney General will recommend asserting executive privilege over the Mueller report and the underlying documents. So there's this big fistfight coming up over that. Now remember, under the law, Attorney General Barr was prohibited from providing raw materials from the grand jury to that congressional committee. It's illegal to do that. They are to be kept secret. But the congressional committee wants them. They want to dig in there. They want to look for dirt. And it's a dangerous and reckless thing to do because very often you don't know if materials submitted to a grand jury are accurate or not. They have to be vetted as part of that process. Okay. Now everybody's making a big stink here about not releasing the full unredacted Mueller report. And it's kind of showing the double standards out there. Because if you go back to 1998, you had Jerry Nadler was opposed to releasing the full Starr report. And basically said that grand jury testimony is often unverified, just made that point, could be salacious, and its release would be unfair. Apparently, there are some clips of Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi going back to the time of Eric Holder when he faced a contempt charge. It basically underscores their hypocrisy. Okay, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was out there tweeting 6 weeks pregnant, 2 weeks late on your period. Most of the men writing these bills don't know the first thing about a woman's body outside the things they want from it. It's relatively common for a woman to have a late period and not be pregnant, so this is a backdoor ban. I'm going to respond to this when we come back from these few words.
Extend your life with Extendovite. When your doctor tells you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. So we're talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And she put out this tweet, and it was in response to one of these states passing a bill saying that after 6 weeks and the discovery of a fetal heartbeat, the abortion would be banned. So Alexandria tweeted out, 6 weeks pregnant equals 2 weeks late on the period. Most of the men writing those bills don't know the first thing about a woman's body outside of the things they want from it. A little bit of snideness there. It's relatively common for a woman to have a late period and not be pregnant, so this is a backdoor ban. Of course, being 6 weeks pregnant is a lot more than just being late on the period. And at that time in the pregnancy, the unborn child is already developing facial features and has a beating heart. And by the way, the authors of the legislation at issue, the majority of them were women, not men. So her comment about the men who write these things. So she kind of fizzled on that one. So pro-life advocates were quick to rebuff Alexandria. Live Action founder Lila Rose highlighted the unborn child's development at 6 weeks, explaining the amazing development at 6 weeks. The nose, mouth, and ears are beginning to take shape. The heart is beating around 100 to 160 times a minute. The blood is flowing through the body. There's a lot of development. I mean, if you ever actually study it. And one of the things I did when I was a kid living on that farm in New England is I had a little tiny incubator for chicken eggs. And it would only do 1 egg at a time. It was kind of a toy. But I figured out how to very carefully cut a hole in the shell of a fertilized chicken egg and then put tape over it, transparent tape, Scotch tape. And I had to be very careful because, you have to rock the egg, every once in a while. But I got to just peek through that window and see how that little chicken embryo grew. And it was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, getting over to the candidates here. Buttigieg, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the only top 2020 candidate not offering staffers health care yet. Now, out on the campaign trail, Pete likes to say that healthcare is freedom, and that if leaving your job means you're going to lose your health care, that means you're not free. But as he staffs up his campaign, this candidate isn't providing health care coverage to any of his own campaign workers. Instead, Buttigieg is providing a monthly stipend to workers to buy insurance on their own through the Obamacare exchanges. Oh, there's a mistake here. Now, Sanders seems to be going in the other way. He's effectively allowing his staff to unionize. They're going to get 20 vacation days, $20 an hour for interns, and there's a cap on management pay. Back on October 11th, 2016, Christopher Steele was meeting with Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Kathleen Kavalek just 10 days before the FBI used his discredited dossier to justify securing a Foreign Intelligence Service Act warrant to spy on Trump. But apparently, during this meeting, Steele admitted that his research was political, and he was facing an election day deadline. And apparently the FBI tried to retroactively classify the minutes of that meeting. Okay. Right now, the FBI is claiming, this is over at Defense One, they're claiming to have 850 open domestic terrorism investigations. And what they're doing is they're sort of blurring the line between true terrorism and extremist activity. So they're claiming that, basically what it is, it's a beg for more money. We have these rise in domestic extremism has U.S. law enforcement officials scrambling to keep up. So apparently a top counterterrorism official told Congress just yesterday that the FBI has 850 active investigations going. All right, let's get to the economic news. And by golly, I hope that they're making some progress over there in Washington, D.C. with the Chinese trade talks. But as rough as it is economically, the trade gap with China has tumbled to a 5-year low. U.S. exports to China increased by 1%. but mostly the imports from China have tumbled. China still wants our soybeans. All right, we're going to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendivite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendivite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're talking about the economy. We're talking about the trade deal with China. And Trump was out there at a rally down in Florida just shouting about the new tariffs and screaming, China broke the deal. They broke the deal. Well, there hadn't actually been a deal made yet. There were some expectations, and China pulled back. But that's not like they'd actually broken the deal. But it looks like Trump thinks those tariffs are going to go into effect on Friday. So we're looking at a trade war. Now, the last major trade war began in 1930 and it was a major contributing factor to the Great Depression of the 1930s. So I think he's making a mistake. I don't think this country was positioned to take advantage of a trade war or tariffs. The manufacturing wasn't in place. The agriculture wasn't in place. All right, we're going to take a phone call from Scott, Wisconsin. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Michael. How you doing there, brother? I was away from you for a while. I wanted to talk about the economics. You know, Michael, I was sitting down the other day, and I love it when you talk about the economics. And what I see right now, the pattern is back in 2008. Where I'm at, Wisconsin, I'm seeing a lot of cars being out for sale now.
Yes.
I see a lot of houses going up for sale. And Michael, I was watching this YouTube the other day about Palm City, California. This guy said half the city's dead right now. And they said even the Dollar General is closed.
Yes.
So we see we see, I love you, brother, we see the pattern of 2008. They're slowly doing the housing, I heard, was downfalling the last 7 months. And yet people are sitting in monetary bias. You think that, like you said, Michael, some of these people would learn from what happened in 2008.
Well, some people did learn from 2008. The others continue to watch channels like CNBC and just do whatever the so-called experts on those channels tell them to do, which is less about helping the audience and more about steering the markets around. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it here too. Just the deterioration and the homelessness and the hunger. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because I remember a time when this nation wasn't like this, when we weren't being spied on all the time, when homelessness was very, very rare, where everybody had guns and nobody thought anything about it. We were proud people.
Yeah, right, Michael. And did you see out in Sacramento, California, you talk about the homeless. I heard now the police are chasing all these homeless people out of these lots. And it's just sad because I'm not saying all of them can't get off the street because the economic jobs are so low, but it's sad to see that the police department's chasing some of these older people out of there. They don't have nowhere else place to go.
Yeah.
Yet you were talking about CNN and all these news on TV. They're false prophets. They don't tell the truth, and they're just like you said, misleading the people. And I call the stock market the fairy market.
Yeah.
Because it's a bunch of hot air, like you were saying, brother. And when I see the period, like I was saying earlier about the pattern of 2008, this is going to be, like you were saying, twice as worse. So people better start getting prepared with water, food, and other essentials, because when this hits, there's going to be such shock and trauma in this country, Michael, that, like you were saying, I think it's even going to be worse than the 1930s. What do you think?
I think it could very easily be worse than the 1930s, because in the 1930s we had a secure border, and the only people we had to worry about taking care of inside the United States of America were the American people. Now we've got 26 million estimated illegal immigrants inside this country who've come into this country being told they're entitled to free stuff.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Michael. And I love you, brother. That's exactly right, because these people come in, and I was talking about way back when I talked to you in the earlier days about Arizona.
Yeah.
The hospitals out there in Arizona, they were taking these illegal immigrants in, and a lot of them closed up because they weren't having any money coming into them.
Yep.
And this is just this situation of these people that you were talking about, the 1%. when it does go down, these are the people, I hate to say it, Michael, that are going to be jumping off buildings and doing bad stuff when this thing does collapse. So, Michael,
I disagree. I disagree. The 1% are already getting their little golden parachutes ready. They've already made their plans to sail off to the Cayman Islands and just retire. No, it's going to be us who are left behind in the streets of the United States of America that will have to deal with this mess.
Oh yes, Michael, I do agree with you on some of the 1%, but some of these guys that are these 1% are living in monetary bias. They're going to get hard. So, Michael, thank you for taking my call. I will keep you and Claire in prayer, brother, and you keep preaching the truth. Okay?
All right, thanks an awful lot, Scott. We're going to let you go. Getting on back to the news here. Apparently, the United States and China are competing for a portion of the port in Haifa, Israel. Now, in July of 2018, 180 acres of the northern port in Haifa were transferred to the Shanghai International Port Group for a 25-year period of management. And this sparked a discussion in the Israeli press, as well as a special discussion by the Israeli cabinet. And the issue are the implications of the port's management by a Chinese company for Israel and its ties with its main strategic ally, the United States. And I'm sure from the point of view of the United States, they're saying, why did we not get this? Why did you not call up and say, we're going to get this? Well, one reason may be that China has built an excellent reputation around the globe for port management. These ports are big, big business. Getting the ships in, getting them docked, getting them unloaded, getting them loaded, getting them back out again. It's amazing to watch. And China's good at it. Again, China is investing in infrastructure. They're enlarging the Panama Canal. They're building a new series of locks next to the old ones, the existing ones, that are going to be wider. And so we'll start seeing wider container ships, wider cruise ships, and unfortunately wider warships as well. Mike Pompeo is warning Great Britain that if they allow Huawei to bid on the 5G contracts, it could spell the end of the British-U.S. special relationship and apparently end Britain's membership in the Five Eyes. You know, that whole echelon program. So they're really arm twisting here. And Pompeo said, with respect to 5G, the United States has an obligation to ensure that the places we will operate, the places where American information is, the places where we have our national security risks, is that they operate inside trusted networks. Now, this is really all about the money and maintaining the U.S. ability to spy on other people. Because apparently Huawei's encryption is very, very secure, and it may be breakable, but it's not able to be broken quickly and easily. Now, they had a bad day on the Dow, on all the markets today, was down at one point almost 400 on the Dow, and ended up about 130 down. So the markets are still rattled by all this talk of additional tariffs. And there are a lot of companies out there that are very concerned. If these 25% tariffs go into effect tomorrow, as promised, then major importers and retailers are going to be forced to raise prices at a time when consumers just don't have the money. So we might see, we're already talking about an estimated 6,000 retailers are going to close across the country this year. It may be more if those tariffs go through. Still a lot of concern about Turkey's emergency currency intervention. It failed in under 2 hours. They're declaring the lira doomed. Here's an interesting little article. This is from CNBC, and it gets back to the issue of railroads. And it's saying, the U.S. is terrible at building high-speed rail. Here's why. And it talks about China, which has 19,000 miles of high-speed rail. Talking about Japan's bullet trains. They were built back in the 1960s, and they can reach nearly 200 miles an hour. France began service of the high-speed TGV train in 1981. The rest of Europe followed along. But the United States has no high-speed trains, except for sections of Amtrak's Acela line in the Northeast Corridor. The Acela can reach 150 miles per hour for only 34 miles of its 457-mile span. Its average speed between New York and Boston is about 65 miles an hour. Well, that was some poor planning on that. And as I mentioned earlier, I saw this documentary last night on China's maglev train. And if you don't know what I mean by that, a maglev is a train that sits on a magnetic field that keeps it above the track, or what they call a guideway. So the train just basically floats along. It's driven by surges of magnetism from the guideway, and it goes very fast. And looking at this article, they're saying basically the problem is that the United States early on had a great rail system, but with the advent of the automobile, the auto companies, the oil companies, they just decided rail kind of had to fade away so that they could sell more cars. And I remember back in the 1970s, and they were saying how dilapidated America's rail system had become. There were some really spectacular derailments. Now they've kept up the cargo carrying capacity, but even that is being split with truckers on the road. So it's another part of our infrastructure that was just allowed to fade away for reasons of profit and neglect. And it's another reminder, we're not the greatest nation on earth anymore. Over at Chick-fil-A, they're on track to become the nation's third largest fast food chain. Their sales have tripled over the last 10 years, and it reported $10.8 billion for last year, according to food service consultancy Technomic Inc. And this is despite all the threatened boycotts and protests by political interests who want the owners of Chick-fil-A to see the world the way they do. Now, the chain's Christian conservative founder, Truett Cathy, basically, the son, Dan Cathy, said in July of 2012 he supported the biblical definition of the family unit and opposed gay marriage. And he did that all the way back in 2012. And the whiners and shriekers and criers and snowflakes were out there saying, boycott, boycott, protest. Didn't work. They're a booming business right now. One of our callers earlier today, I think it was Dustin, was talking about this article. Down at the border, they're having the most arrests in 12 years. Over 168,000 have been released into the United States so far this year, many of them known to be carrying measles and chickenpox. So, Joe Biden, out on his campaign trail, is out there saying that the United States has an obligation to give health care to undocumented immigrants. So that's where he's coming from. And again, that's what the Democrats are campaigning on. Get the illegal immigrants to vote Democratic because they think they're going to get free stuff. So that's part of that campaign. All righty. Now, supposedly, next week, Jared Kushner will finally be unveiling his comprehensive immigration plan. The plan will supposedly, according to reports, keep the number of new immigrants per year at 1 million. but stresses merit-based admissions over familial ties. I agree with that one. Little else is known about the bill beyond the bland generalities of humanitarian needs, border security, protecting American wages, moving in the right direction. I still think we need a fence down there. Over at the New York Times, their editorial board has basically flipped, and they're now out there saying, give Trump the border money. Over in Scotland, remember the Scottish independence referendum? They lost by just a thin margin, and there were clear indications of massive election fraud. Well, they're getting antsy again, if you will, and they're starting to agitate again, demanding freedom from London rule. So now we have a Skexit, I guess we could call it. But they're holding parades and they're marching and they've got their flags and they're demanding freedom from British rule. Over in, let's see, there's a new Danish party is courting fresh controversy for hiring some distinctly un-PC candidates as the country goes to the polls next month. So apparently, yeah, a lot of this globalist, New World Order, liberal stuff is failing. We got to take a break for commercials.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus magful clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Now, do you remember Lech Walesa? Was president of Poland. He basically led a campaign for tremendous social change, workers' benefits. He's out there now saying that it's probably going to be easier to liquidate the EU and start all over again when you look at all of the problems that the EU is dealing with between Brexit, the refugees, the economic issues. So Lech Walesa basically said the EU isn't worth preserving in its current form. I feel the very same way about our federal government. In its current form, it just doesn't work for we, the American people. Chelsea Handler is out there trying to blame the Trump supporters for the Colorado school shooting, which was kind of weird because I didn't think a lot of trannies were supporters of Trump. They held a vigil today for the victims of the shooting. And then some Democratic politicians got up on the stage and began their anti-gun rants, seize all guns, at which point the students all got up and left. They said it wasn't a vigil, it was a political stunt. And it's exactly what it was here. Ilhan Omar is out there demanding more gun control in the wake of the Colorado school shooting. And my issue is we need to find out what set this off. Because, again, when I was a kid, there were plenty of guns all over the place. We never had anything like this happen. The entire time I was growing up in that farming town, there was only ever one incident with a firearm, and that was an attempted suicide. So the gun grabbers are out in force on that one. Apparently out in California, the school authorities have issued a revised sex education guide for teachers, which apparently was very graphic with sex topics and basically was denounced as transgender propaganda by parents who are outraged over this this book. So anyway, let's see. Florida is creating a new sex offender registry just for prostitution customers. If you are arrested for soliciting or paying a prostitute for sex, your name goes on this public list. They didn't think this one through very well. It's going to be the ideal resource to help prostitutes find new customers. It's a little shopping guide. Alrighty. We're still going back and forth over that transgender male who won all those lifting awards, which were then taken away because he was a boy. And the controlling organization said, yeah, it's your physiology, it's not your identification. But apparently now out there, there's this philosophy professor saying that biological males having an athletic advantage is only a social perception. It isn't real. All right, there's the music. It's time for me to get on out of here. Please stay tuned for John Stadmiller. And please take what you learn here, share it with everybody that you know. We got to start speaking out. Just speaking person to person, that's our best means of communication now. Please donate to RBN. Please donate to whatreallyhappened.com. We'll be back tomorrow with the Lady Claire. Aloha, America.